Hello, my name is LoG, and welcome to another edition of LoG Power-Ups. Today's power-up, we will go over a sound that I call Notey Note Riffs. These riffs are usually very notey, kind of chaotic, almost kind of random sounding, because we are jumping around the fretboard quite a bit. We're jumping strings, grabbing high notes, and then immediately playing low notes. So because of this, we do have to really think about how we want to technically play this. Personally, I like to play these with pick and fingers because it's a lot easier to jump strings, but I'll let you figure out what's comfortable for you. One of the main things that we're going to talk about when we play this type of riff is implying the chord progression that's happening underneath. If you are playing notes and you're always locking in on certain notes of the chord tones, or maybe color notes that you want to add in, like 2s or 7s or something like that, you can really play whatever you want and it won't sound random because you are implying the progression as it's happening behind you, and the music will sound a lot more together. This power-up is split into parts 1, 2, 3, and then the final part. And of course, at the end of the video, we will play over backing tracks that gradually increase tempo. If you enjoy this type of instructional material, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. And now let's get on to part 1. All right, let's go over this first part real fast, and then we'll talk about what is happening. Here it is. That's it, pretty short and sweet. The main topic that we're going to talk about here with this power-up, alongside learning the part, is coming up with ideas like this and how important it is to imply or spell out the chord progression that's happening behind you. Now, of course, you can come up with riffs that don't really have a chord progression, and that's a separate thing. But for this is writing parts like this when there is a bona fide progression happening in the background. So the progression that's going on in the background for this riff, or at least this first kind of section, very simple. 4, 5, 6 in the key of D. So if we're in the key of D, here's where 1, G is 4, A is 5, B minor is 6, right? Probably the most overused progression of all time, but it works really well in this context. And also what's happening is I'm spelling out the core sound of each chord, right? So when you play a 4 chord, the sound that works really well with a 4 chord generally would be like major 7. So that's G with a 7. There's G, there's a 7. I'm just putting that note into the chord. Sounds like that, or maybe like this if you want to add some other notes. That's a very typical 4 chord sound. Then for the 5 chord, I'm doing another typical 5 chord sound, which is suspended. So I'm playing like A, instead of just playing a normal A chord, I'm playing something like that. A suspended 4. Again, I'm not literally playing the chord, I'm implying it in the lead, which you'll see here in a second. And then for the 6th chord, instead of just playing minor, standard minor, I'm playing minor with a 2. So that would sound something like that. That's 1, flat 3, 5, and then the 2 on top. Gives it a darker kind of edge to it, very cool sounding. There it is up an octave, same shape, just another voicing, very cool sound. So that's kind of what I'm implying, again, when I get to the B minor in the riff. So with all that in mind, let's go over the notes, and you'll see kind of what I mean by spelling out the progression. First part looks like this, very simple, 2 Gs, right, just octave. And I'm going downstroke, upstroke to pick those. Then I'm reaching up to the A right here, G's 2, sliding up, so picking that, sliding up, and then playing these 2 notes, the D and the F sharp at the same time, and I'm using pick and fingers to do that, just like that. So G, G, A, slide to B, 2 fingers to grab the D and the F sharp. So what am I playing right there? That is literally G major 7, right? If I just combine all of the notes I played, maybe except the A, I'll leave that one out. I'm playing G, B, D, F sharp. That's a literal G major 7 chord. I'm just perfectly implying the chord. There's nothing else happening, right? And I'm just choosing how do I want to play those notes, etc. So that part one more time. Now after that, we come back down because we're about to imply the A chord, and we're doing that like this. So after the little 2-note hit, just like that. So I'm doing the 2-note hit, back to the B with a downstroke, then E, A with 1 upstroke. So E, follow through to the A with the same upstroke. So just like that. However you want to do it. I mean, you can honestly do 1 big upstroke for those 3 notes if that's comfortable, but I like doing the downstroke and then the 1 upstroke for the other 2 notes. So let me play all of that real fast. That's the part. Now, once we hit this A, we're now implying the A chord, the A suspended. And I sort of got into it a little bit like that, too, because I played E, A. That's A's 5-1. So it's like a little power chord that I'm emphasizing there. So after the A, after we get there, next note is reaching back up to the B right here. And I'm doing that with a downstroke. So let me play that in context. just like that. The B immediately slides up to C sharp, A's 3, but then we play D and then A. The D right there, that's going to be like that suspended sound that we're talking about. So that riff, B, C sharp, D, A, and then E right there. So I'll play that one more time. That's after we do the slide. Let me do this. Like that. And then after this, after we hit the A up top, A, then E, B, right? Slide back to A, F sharp, and then finally end on this C sharp. And that's going to be during the B minor. Right at that moment is when B minor happens in the music. And what note is this of B minor? It's the 2. So again, we're implying that minor sound with the 2. And we'll spell that out more in the next video. So let me go over this A part one more time so you can see exactly what's happening. So after the A, with that upstroke, B, downstroke, slide up. D, A, I'm using middle and ring to play that. Just like that. And then that next E right there is with my ring finger here, and I'm picking that note over here. And then down to the B with an upstroke, pull off, upstroke, and then simply playing the C sharp with a downstroke. So I'll play that part one more time. One more time. This sound is also kind of a cool sound, this sort of shape right there. I mean, that right there is sort of like an A suspended. We're playing, that's the root, that's the 5, that's the 2. But this sound, this kind of stacked fourth sound, which is what this is. It's like a note, then up a fourth, and then up a fourth. It's a really cool sound to kind of sneak into your leads once in a while because it's very significant sounding and very different sounding. So I'm personally a fan of those. So let me play that part one more time. I'll play the whole thing, actually. Now, fingering-wise, I think when I'm playing this at tempo, I tend to do this. Ring finger right there, and then middle, pointer, slide back, middle. That's what I'm doing. Right now, when I'm playing it slow, this is comfortable. Right? Pinky, ring, middle, pointer, middle. But I do know when I start to build tempo, for some reason, I tend to do ring finger, middle, pointer, slide back, middle, like that. So I'll kind of leave that up to you to figure out your fingering, what's comfortable, but they're both fine, whatever makes sense to you. So once again, let me play that one more time slowly. We do that one more time with the other fingering. I definitely think I do that one when I play it fast because I do like the slide right there from the B to the A, and then drop down to grab that note. So again, what are we doing right here? Really spelling out the chords exactly. We're targeting certain notes, bringing out certain notes to make those chords really stand out in the lead, you know, and we're not, of course, playing these notes like chords. We're not stringing them together like chords. Like if I did... Like that's the first riff, but I'm playing a literal, G chord or G major 7 chord right there. We're doing it in more of a lead way. The notes aren't bleeding together so it doesn't sound like a chord, but you still hear the tones of the chord happening in the riff, which makes it sound like the chords are changing. So that's a really great way to approach writing parts like this, especially if you have a progression. Just think about the chord tones, lock in on those chord tones, figure out how you want to play them in a way that you find interesting, of course, but really feature them because that'll make the riff sound like the harmony is changing. And when that's happening, everything kind of sounds together at that point. So we play it one more time, and then we'll hit on to this backing track. Backing track's going to be 60 to 90 BPM. This part's really short, really simple, so we're going to slowly stack on as we continue. But again, that part looks like this. And again, as we're playing the A, that's A's 2, 3, 4. There's that suspended 1, 5, 2, 1, little 6 right there. But that's really, I'm thinking about that as like the 5 of the B minor because that's what we're about to imply. And then we land on this 2 and that's it. That's where we're going to end. So we'll do this. Bam, hold it, and then continue. Etc. So we're going to work from 60 to 90. So let's get on to this track. All right, that does it for part 1 of this Notey Note Riff power-up. If you enjoy this type of instructional material, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below, and I'll see you all in part 2.